This time of year is most commonly known as the holiday season, but I like to call it the hyper-consumerism season. And so I always like to make videos like this around this time of year so that we can all get in the mindset of being mindful and conscious about things that we're buying, why we're buying them, and the impact that they're going to inevitably have on the planet. Specifically during the holiday/hyperconsumerism season, in the US specifically, our waste increases by 25%. So take the massive amount of waste that people in the US already produce, add a fourth of that entire amount to it in the last few months of the year. And this is due to so many different things: a ton more food waste, a ton more disposables at parties and things like that, packaging of all the crap that gets bought, and 5 billion pounds of unwanted gifts have been found to go to landfill in a single year back in 2019. So like I said, waste skyrocketing around this time of year. And my hope with this video is that we together can decrease that, specifically in this video with shopping and consumerism habits. Every brand right now is in overdrive trying to convince you that you should buy their stuff, not just as gifts, but a lot of people during the holiday season end up seeing things through marketing or browsing while shopping that they need for themselves, or they think they do. Things that they want for themselves, I guess. And my goal as an environmentalist and as someone who uses the word eco-minimalism to describe this lifestyle, I want us to buy as few things as possible so that we have the smallest impact on the planet as possible, because every single thing we buy has an environmental footprint, from growing the materials and extracting nutrients and water and all the sort of resources to grow the things that we use, and then to manufacture it, which takes greenhouse gases and energy, of course, and then to ship those things all over the world. Every single less thing you buy is a smaller footprint on the environment and lessens the demand for more of those things to be created. So let's get into some consumer and or shopping habits that you need to stop, and I'll give you some little tips and tricks along the way of how you can stop those things and things that you could be doing better. But I also want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, which is Squarespace. If you ever need to build a website, online store, or even if you just need a domain, there's a link at the top of the description to give you a little discount. First tip is where personally in my life I see most people go shopping and buy things that they don't need and otherwise wouldn't even want, and that is shopping out of boredom. Similarly to this, using shopping as your form of entertainment or a hobby is a really easy way to rope yourself into buying things that you don't need, and not only harming the planet in the process, but also harming your wallet. I did this a lot when I was younger, and it's because growing up it's what I saw everyone in my family do, or at least the women who were most prominent in my life. My mom, my aunt, my cousins, they always went shopping as a form of entertainment, and so obviously that was passed down to me, and I had to work for years as a very conscious consumer to get out of that mindset. But some of my current favorite hobbies as an alternative to shopping are things like geocaching. It's a fun thing I do. Similarly, Pokemon, I feel like Pokemon and geocaching are like searching for things that are physically there, geocaching, and searching for things that are invisibly there, Pokemon. Gardening, especially in the spring and summertime, is a huge way to spend my time and give back to the earth, and also do something that is enriching to me rather than just going to the mall. You know what I mean? Another habit I think probably most people need to break if they are somewhat of a shopaholic is shopping when you're in a bad mood, or using shopping as that crutch, as the thing that makes you feel better. You should find a new way when you're not in a good mood, or when you're in a bad mood, or when you want to feel better. Wherever you would initially go to shopping, find something else that's going to make you feel better long term as well, not so short term as shopping would anyway. Having shopping apps on your phone is not a good idea. It is not a shopping or consumer habit that you should keep, especially if you're in the beginning of going from someone who maybe is considered a hyper consumer to an eco-minimalist. You want to create as much friction between thinking of something or wanting something and buying it, and especially you want to be able to remove the casual browsing from being easily accessible, right? So having apps from those brands on your phone is even more accessible, because we always all have our phones on us. And on that note, not having set speed bumps to stop you from buying things. So all of these brands, what they want to do is create the smallest and least amount of friction as they can between you wanting something and you buying it. Literally on Amazon right now, you can click one button and order something to your home because all of your information is saved to the app. And that is something that is really, really difficult, especially as someone who is trying to quit shopping. If you keep that stuff on your phone, if you don't put set speed bumps in place, it's a recipe for a lot more shopping than you need to be doing. So for instance, speed bumps can be things like not having the apps on your phone, not saving your credit card information to your computer or your phone. That way, every time you go to buy something, you have to consciously like get up, find your credit card, put it into the phone or laptop or whatever you're doing. A speed bump I really try to implement as much as possible is about a 2-week waiting period between when I want something and when I actually end up buying something. These speed bumps have stopped me from buying so many things in the past, and I think not having speed bumps set in place in advance to the time that you decide you want to buy something is a mistake. We could fix that right now. Decide on what speed bumps will prevent you from buying things you don't need and set them in place today. Subscribing to brand emails. Wow. Personally, I use Gmail, so I really, really like the feature that Gmail groups all shopping things that I might have accidentally subscribed to or that someone subscribed me to, because sometimes that happens too. And I can just swipe them and delete them, and it's super, super easy, but it might not be the same for you. And so being careful as to not sign up for brand emails is a really great way to avoid seeing things that are on sale, new products, new launches. Another way brands get really tricky is whenever you go to their website, they'll offer you free shipping or 10% off or whatever it is if you give them your email, and that is their hope that they can get into your email and sell you more things over time. Even if you opt into one of those things to get the discount, immediately unsubscribing the next time you see an email is a great way to prevent yourself from shopping unnecessarily. And similarly, following brands on Instagram is not the smartest move, especially if you don't already have a lot of control over what you see and buy and what you don't. And it doesn't mean that necessarily you see something on your feed and you buy it, because you may be thinking, well, I've never saw something on Instagram and just instantly bought it. But that's not exactly how marketing works. A lot of times you have to see something several times before you actually opt in and buy it. Beyond that, they can just be in your mind subliminally until you decide you need said item, and then you have them in your mind already. That's how marketing really works when you get like deep down into it. So giving brands the opportunity to get to you for free is not a smart consumer habit to keep. Emails and following them on social media are free ways for them to market to you, but ways that they actually pay to market to you are also ads. And I think a habit that is really, really a good one to keep is removing yourself from seeing those as well. I avoid ads at all costs, and I think that's a huge part of why I don't shop and why I'm able to live a more conscious life, because I'm not constantly having thrown things at me that I am supposed to want or need. And I think this is a good opportunity for me to say that I do not support ad blockers, especially on platforms where people are creating content for you that is free and they make money off of said ads. I'm actually in the process of making an ad with one of my favorite brands, Ecosia, which I think is an amazing way for creators to earn an income, especially when brands that they would otherwise support are on their content and when it's free and helps the planet, right? But even if it doesn't, consuming free content that someone put hours of their time into and then blocking ads from it is really fucked up in my opinion. So personally, I'm telling you, the best thing I pay for, because your girl is on YouTube all day long. I am a hyper consumer of YouTube. If you've seen me around the internet and comment sections, you probably know that I absolutely love this platform so much. And so I am a YouTube Premium member. I don't really like Premium. I liked it when they called it YouTube Red, but you know what I mean. YouTube Premium for me is the best $10 I spend every month. I will never not pay for it. And I highly recommend you do it as well, because that money still supports the creators that you watch, but you don't have to see ads. And it's just, I can't imagine the YouTube experience without it now that I've had it. Here's a consumer habit that actually made its way through legislation recently, the right to repair. And this mistake is not repairing or renting or trying to fix something when it breaks before you replace it. I shared this on my Instagram, but last year our microwave broke, or at least we thought it did. It wasn't working, and so everyone in my family told me to replace it. People were telling me, you can go here to replace it, you can go there to replace it. Everyone was like,
your microwave's not working, you've been without a microwave for like a week, probably just go get another one.
Come to find out, it was our outlet that was broken, and the electrician that was working on our house the week prior broke it. So they fixed it, and the microwave was saved from going to the landfill for absolutely no reason. The point is, wasteful habits like this can cost you money and cost the planet. So let's break that habit together. Another habit I've seen a lot in my family is buying something that you're only going to use once or twice, or that is an easy fix, instead of getting a little bit more creative and not buying that thing. The craziest thing, oh God, I could tell you so many stories about my parents that just blow my mind. But whenever Madison and I bought our van a few years ago, we kept it at my parents' house because they had so many tools to actually do work on the van, and we had absolutely none. And during that process, we found out that my dad had a table saw, which was hugely helpful in building the van. The crazy thing is, he had this table saw for 10 years and had never taken it out of the box. Things like this are things that we'll only use once or twice, or we think we're going to use them, and then we just never do. And so not always thinking about the easy solution and immediately buying something to fix it, but thinking about other ways that you can get that thing, like renting or borrowing or finding it on Facebook Marketplace. If you are the average demographic of this channel, you are my age, and your parents are likely my parents' age, and that means that your mom is very likely to be a Kohl's shopper. Let me know in the comments if I guessed that right. Am I psychic? Am I psychic or what? This is something I know applied very, very heavily to the boomer generation, and I don't know if it's just me or if everybody has kind of grown out of realizing that a lot of times these on sale schemes are not really on sale. Like Kohl's, I literally don't know how they get away with everything being on sale all the time. But the point of this habit is not buying something simply because it's on sale, not walking into a store and buying something that you had absolutely no intention of buying simply because it's on sale, because it saves you money. When, as I'm always trying to tell my freaking mom, what's gonna save you the most money is not buying it at all. And I'm not here to demonize you if you buy things on sale like Black Friday that just happened recently. I know a lot of people wait until that point of the year because that's when they can afford to get things that they need. What I'm talking about is literally deciding you need something because it's on sale, not deciding you need something and waiting for it to go on sale. These next few I like to kind of piece together, so let me just rattle them off to you right off the top. Not having a budget, not having an emergency fund, and not setting financial goals for yourself are all three habits that I think lead to bad shopping addictions and hyper-consumerism. So one of the things I'm not so great at is setting a budget for myself, looking at my finances and making sure that they are like super perfect down to the T, figuring out what I spend money on. It makes me really, really anxious. Madison helps me with that. She pays all of the bills, like physically, not monetarily, but she helps me manage all of that stuff, and so I'm really lucky in that way. But I think living without a budget at all, especially if you need to be on a budget, you're on a fixed income, a fixed salary, whatever it is, not having a budget can really lead to you poo-pooing away money here and there like it's nothing. So a really good example of this actually are two people in my family. One is very, very strict on budgeting, and the other just throws money at anything she feels like. She'll go and buy a shirt at Kohl's for $10, not like it, and instead of taking it back and returning it to get her money back, she just goes, whatever. And that's a perfect example of not being on a budget, because the other person in my life, and these people interact a lot, is on a pretty strict budget, and she knows what she is and isn't allowed to spend. So if she spends $10 on a shirt, she sees that in her budget. She's now lost $10 that she can no longer spend. So she's going to, hopefully, the number one thing we want her to do is think before she buys it. Not buy that $10 shirt nilly-willy, thinking that if you don't like it, whatever, it's $10, thinking this is $10 of my budget. Do I really want to spend it on this shirt? I think that's a pretty clear comparison of how a budget can help when it comes to consumerism. Also, you may have heard me talk about this before, and this is the only piece of like financial advice I am able to give you because, again, finance is just like too much for me. I swear by my emergency fund. And the reason I swear by my emergency fund is because for most of my life, I was always struggling with money, mostly because of my bad consumer habits. I didn't realize I was literally getting money, spending it, wanting money, getting money, spending it, wanting money. It was this toxic cycle of, I need money, I have it, it's gone. I need money, I have it, it's gone. But my emergency fund broke that cycle for me. I no longer felt like I was hurting for money because I always knew that there was some in my bank account in case I needed it. And for whatever reason, that broke that scarcity mindset for me. So I think not having an emergency fund or just some sort of fund so that you're not constantly feeling stressed if something happens in your life or always wanting more, I think that the emergency fund for some reason just really helps with that. A few other little tips that I think really help me avoid shopping is saving items on Instagram when I do see them. So instead of seeing something on Instagram and for some reason my brain goes, oh, you're gonna lose this if you don't buy it. For a long time I had that habit, and not just from ads, but on my, what is it called? The Explore page. I find a lot of small businesses that I'm really interested in, and I think supporting small business is great. But like I said earlier, I like to give myself roadblocks, and using the save feature on Instagram is one of my roadblocks. So if I ever see something that I am tempted by on Instagram, I save it, and that immediately takes away, I think, a part of the scarcity mindset as well. And so that's kind of a wish list that I have, but I also have an Instagram account for a wish list. I've talked about this a lot before, but basically I have a separate Instagram account that is dedicated to things that I want. And so people who know me, they follow it. If they want to buy me something, there's a whole list of things that I need or want that they can pick from instead of just going and buying things that I don't need and I won't use. Because I think the best gift is one someone's going to use. Even if you buy it new, even if it's not the most sustainable thing, if it's something that someone actually wanted and used, I think that's the most sustainable option, because so many unwanted gifts are given and received and end up in landfills. So yeah, my wish list is something that's also been really helpful for me. I also think it might be helpful for you to make a stop buying list. So if you have a habit of buying a lot of something and you really just never work through it, things like neutral eyeshadow palettes, I know candles are a big one for some people. For me, it's kombuchas. Every time I see a kombucha, I feel the need to buy it. But keeping a list of things that you should stop buying because you have a habit of always buying it when you see one is a really good thing to help like curb those consumerism habits as well. Here are some questions I think you could keep in your back pocket to help you determine if you really should be buying something after you've done all the things I just told you. Ask yourself, do I need this? If you ask yourself, do you need it? It doesn't mean you can't have it unless it's a need, but usually that question will help you be like, no, I don't. Can I borrow it? So this is a way to kind of still get that thing without having to buy it. Can I borrow it? Can I make it? I find that often asking myself, how was it made, is really helpful, because if you can't track that down, if the brand is not transparent, for me, it makes me go, that's not a brand I really want to give my money to. So how was it made? Where will I store it is one that has talked me out of buying many, many things back in my garage apartment, and even still today. What will happen to it when I'm done with it? So what is the end of life cycle for this product? Is it going to sit in a drawer somewhere? Am I going to have to throw it away? And one of the questions that kind of goes hand in hand with this is this just going to end up as a thrift store donation? When I go thrift shopping, a lot of times it's hard for me because I'm a plus size person. Going thrifting in person, not so easy for me. And so sometimes I end up buying things that I am just going to literally give back to where I got it from, because I get so excited to find something that actually fits me, and it's not something that I really love and I'm going to cherish for a long time. That's why shopping on Poshmark is much better for me. Shout out to Poshmark and ThredUp actually for this fit. In case the item happens to be on sale, asking yourself if you would buy it even if it wasn't on sale is a really helpful thing. And same thing at a thrift store. Asking yourself if you would pay full price for said item is a really easy way to kind of talk yourself out of it. And what I personally like to do is think about how much whatever the thing is, if I am really struggling, if that thing costs 3 times what it costs, would I still buy it? And I think that kind of really helps adjust if you just think you're getting a good deal, or if it's something that really is going to bring enough value to your life to justify purchasing it. And another question I actually added to my arsenal recently to help me avoid buying things that are trendy specifically are, would I have liked this 3 years ago, and where will this be in 5 years? So if I didn't like it 3 years ago, chances are it's not timeless, Shelby. Chances are it's not. And number 2, where will it be in 5 years? Because we often think of buying things and keeping them for like a year or 2 as being justified, but really for me, I'm thinking much more long term. And as I'm looking around, it's, I think in my head, I'm confident, I would have definitely liked all of these things a few years ago. And I think I'm still gonna like them in 5 years. But the point really is that if you're asking yourself all these questions and you're considering all of these things, you are now making a conscious purchase, which is the goal here. Not to never buy anything, Personally, for me, the goal is to buy as few things new as possible. I always opt for secondhand. But in general, for the holiday season, I think getting out of these habits is going to be really, really helpful. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you want, you can share it with your friends. And let's give another huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video. Like I said, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform, so you can look to them to build an online store, website, or even just if you need to purchase a domain. Squarespace makes setting up a website super easy because you don't need to learn coding. They already have some beautiful templates over there that you can customize to be exactly what you're looking for. Squarespace makes it easy to connect your social media and to also take advantage of their blogging tools. You can do email campaigns through Squarespace because it is an all-in-one platform, like I mentioned. With their 24-hour customer service and traffic insight tools, it makes it the easiest way to build a website on the internet today. So when you're ready to launch, head over to squarespace.com/Shelbizleee for 10% off of your first purchase.